It was a crisp autumn morning in the heart of Chicago, one of those mornings where the golden sun struggled to break through the veil of mist rising off the streets. The wind whipped through the towering buildings, carrying the usual symphony of city noise, the honking horns, the shuffle of shoes on the sidewalk, the faint hum of street vendors setting up for the day. Yet, beneath this daily rhythm, something was brewing in the shadows, a heist that would go down as one of the most notorious bank robberies in modern history, and one that you, perhaps, have never heard of. Welcome to the world of the most notorious bank heist you've never heard of, a story shrouded in mystery, hidden behind layers of controversy, and teeming with unanswered questions. But before we dive into the depths of this chilling tale, let me ask you, if you're into thrilling stories like this, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on more riveting true crime stories, like this video if it keeps you at the edge of your seat, and share it with anyone who's got a love for dark, twisted mysteries. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next. Now, let's rewind to one of the most audacious heists in Chicago history. A heist that almost slipped under the radar, until now. Chicago's skyline stood like a titan against the horizon, the sun barely rising above it. The time was 6:30 a.m., and in a seemingly ordinary neighborhood, nestled between warehouses and nondescript buildings, stood the highly secure Lincoln National Bank. This wasn't just any bank. The Lincoln National was an imposing fortress, its vaults reinforced with layers of steel, its vault door weighing over 5 tons. It had an impeccable reputation, serving the elite of Chicago's business world. For decades, no one had dared even attempt a robbery. Security measures were so tight that the idea of a robbery seemed almost laughable. But that was all about to change. At the center of it all were 3 individuals: David Colson, a skilled but mysterious ex-convict who had turned his life around, or so everyone thought; Claire Maxwell, a quiet, intelligent former security consultant with ties to the highest levels of law enforcement; and Jared Calloway, a charming but ruthless mastermind who had been operating under the radar for years. The trio was unlikely, but potent. No one could have guessed that these individuals, from completely different walks of life, would come together to execute a crime that would not only shock the city but send ripples through the entire country. David, having spent 5 years in a federal prison for a previous offense, was trying to live a quiet life. He had recently been hired by a local business as a manager, his criminal past seemingly behind him. However, his ties to Claire, his ex-wife, and Jared, an old friend from the streets, would prove dangerous. The trio met during a chance encounter, but that chance meeting would become a perfect storm. By the time the heist was planned, the city's focus was elsewhere. The upcoming mayoral election had the media on high alert, leaving the perfect opportunity for crime that no one would ever expect. Planning began in the most unlikely of places, a small, run-down diner tucked away in the west side of Chicago. The booth at the back, barely visible through the greasy windows, became the strategy room for the heist of a lifetime. There, David, Claire, and Jared mapped out the plan in meticulous detail. David, having extensive knowledge of bank operations, suggested ways to bypass the standard security protocols. Claire, with her expertise in surveillance systems, found gaps in the bank's surveillance coverage, particularly in the alleyways and the back entrance. Jared, ever the tactician, handled the logistics, setting up the perfect cover and securing the necessary equipment, ranging from cutting-edge tools to simple, old-fashioned masks. Together, they crafted an ironclad plan, so smooth and perfectly executed that no one would ever suspect them. On the morning of the heist, just before dawn, the team slipped into their roles. David would enter the bank as a regular customer, using his previously acquired account details to gain access to a locked room. Claire would be positioned as a security guard working her shift, seamlessly infiltrating the security office. Jared would be outside, monitoring the bank's blind spots, ready for any interference. But here's where things took an unexpected tone. There was one person they never counted for: As the team began their operation, the morning seemed too perfect. The city was waking up, the usual bustle filling the streets, but something about the atmosphere felt off. David noticed a small detail that made him uneasy, a slight flicker in the bank security cameras as he walked through the front door. Claire had set everything up perfectly, but she hadn't been prepared for this glitch. Was it a sign of a security breach or a faulty system? Inside the bank, David started feeling the heat of the security measures. While he waited for the vault's timers to tick down, he couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching. Maybe it was the hours of preparation, or perhaps it was just paranoia, but the uneasy feeling settled deep in his gut. Claire, working in the security room, quickly glanced at the monitors to check for anything unusual. Her eyes narrowed. The glitch, it seemed, wasn't random. It had been triggered by an outside source. The plan was still in motion, but the air was thick with tension. Little did they know, there was a person in the building that none of them had planned for, someone who would derail everything they had worked so hard for. Hours after the heist were completed, the city of Chicago woke up to the horrifying news. The Lincoln National Bank had been robbed. And not just any robbery. This was a high-profile, well-executed heist that no one saw coming. The criminals had made their way into the vault, bypassing even the most sophisticated security systems, and left with millions of dollars in cash. Detective Harold Richards was called in to lead the investigation. A seasoned investigator with a knack for solving the unsolvable, Richards had seen it all, but nothing had prepared him for this. The vault, despite its elaborate security measures, was empty. No sign of forced entry. No fingerprints. No weapons left behind. As Richards began his inquiry, he found a trail of oddities. The bank's alarm system had been deactivated precisely at the time of the robbery. Security footage, as if on cue, had been wiped clean for several minutes. However, one strange detail remained. A grainy image of a man walking through the back alley, one that the bank system didn't capture on its main surveillance. The investigation was filled with dead ends. It wasn't until Richard sat down with the bank manager, Gerald Stone, that the first real clue emerged. Stone was visibly shaken. He was the one who had locked the vault the night before. His fingerprints were on the door, but nothing had been tampered with. After hours of questioning, Stone broke, revealing something that no one expected. He'd seen someone in the alley the night before, a figure lurking in the shadows. But who was it? Was it one of the thieves? Or was someone pulling the string from behind the scenes? Richards dug deeper, finding inconsistencies in the bank security logs and statements from employees. All fingers pointed back to Claire Maxwell. Despite all the leads, the case didn't resolve easily. As time passed, Jared Calloway vanished without a trace, leaving no clues to his whereabouts. Claire Maxwell became a suspect, but the evidence didn't quite fit. The investigation suggested she was involved, but not as much as everyone thought. And David Colson? It was clear he had been a part of the heist, but had he been coerced, or was he simply a pawn in a much larger scheme? Weeks turned into months, and the investigation turned cold. Just as Richard was about to close the case, he received an anonymous tip. The tip led him to a startling discovery. The stolen money had never been taken out of Chicago. It was hidden in plain sight, sitting within a system that no one had considered. But what shocked Richards the most wasn't the money. It was the person behind the heist. The truth was far more chilling than anyone could have imagined. The real mastermind had been someone within the bank all along, someone whose very job was to protect the money, someone whose involvement no one could have ever guessed. Despite numerous attempts to solve the case, the true identity of the mastermind remained shrouded in mystery. Was it a betrayal from within? Or was there someone pulling the strings from outside the walls of the bank? What happened to Claire? Was she truly guilty, or was she just another pawn? And Jared, where is he now? Even years later, the people of Chicago still whisper about the notorious heist that no one truly understands. The case remains open, but the questions continue to haunt the city. So, what do you think? Was a true mastermind someone who was overlooked all along? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you haven't already, subscribe for more thrilling true crime stories that you won't hear anywhere else. Thank you very much for watching. See you in the other one.